I'm Lynda Hafner, top producing realtor at ERA Key Realty in Central Massachusetts. I'm also a waterfront specialist. I actually live waterfront and I've lived in 2 different waterfronts. So today we're going to talk about tips for buying a waterfront home. I really wanted to talk about the tips for buying a waterfront home because what I find is that when I'm shopping with buyers, their expectations about waterfront homes, lakefront homes, are very different from what the lakefront home market is. So let's talk about that now so that you can get your expectations more in line with what you're actually going to find if you choose a lakefront home. A lakefront home is not at all like a normal home. And I'm gonna talk about some of the differences right here. The first thing I wanna talk about is the fact that buying a lake home, you're not just buying a home, you're actually buying an entire lifestyle. It is totally different living on a lake than it is in a normal lifestyle. It is a vacation life that you are purchasing, and that does not come cheap because, first of all, the inventory of lake homes is slim. So the few people who actually really make the decision that yes, I want a lakefront home, they have to be willing to pay more and get less house. Number one, if you're not willing to do that, then a lake home isn't for you. So I want to really make that clear, and you need to understand that you could get a much, much nicer home if it was not lakefront than what you're going to get on the lake, but you're never going to match the lifestyle that you can get on a lake. I wouldn't trade living on a lake for anything. I've lived on 2 lakes. I've been living on lakes for over 20 years now, and it is a lifestyle that I treasure. I love watching the sunset, the sunrise, the different colors on the lake. I love the nature. I love the water sports. I mean, there's just so much to it. But, you know, with that said, the first house I bought was a disaster, quite frankly. Needed a complete overhaul, but I knew that going in. I had the expectation, and I think that's what I really want to get across to you, is that if you are considering a lakefront home, you may not get bright, nice, and shiny. You might get something that needs some work, and are you willing to do that? Now, I have taken many, many buyers to many, many homes, and the general consensus that I get from buyers is like, what? This is all you get for this price? And unfortunately, yes. It's not exactly fair, but that's just the way it is. So I'm telling you this because I want you to lower your expectations of what your money can buy. You need to go into a lot more homes, look at a lot more properties to really understand what you can afford in a lakefront property versus a regular property. And you need to be really, really committed to lakefront to deal with some of the sacrifices that you're going to have to make if you want lakefront, because living lakefront does involve sacrifices, and that we're going to talk a little bit more here on the board. One of the sacrifices that you need to make usually, now every house is different, okay? But generally speaking, you're not going to have a huge lot for lakefront. I mean, everybody wants to live lakefront, so the lots are small. Where I'm from, most of the lots are 50 feet. If you get 100 feet lakefront, you're really doing great. And more than that is really, really rare. So automatically you've got a narrow lot. What does that mean? That means you can't have a huge sprawling ranch on a 50-foot lot, or it's gonna be turned the other way and it's gonna look weird. So lakefront homes look weirder. They don't have the normal front, they don't have the normal back. You know, they're changed. Sometimes they start as a cottage, and people love living on the lake so much that they add on. But when they add on, they have to stay within the town requirements. In order to do that on a 50-foot lot, you only can do it in an awkward way. So So we built an addition on, and it was an awkward layout. We got more space and I was grateful for it, but the layout was really awkward. And when we sold our house, a lot of people were like, well, this layout is terrible. It's like, yeah, we only have 50 feet of frontage to work with. So these are the things that, you know, you need to be willing to sacrifice if you are on a budget. If you have an unlimited budget, woohoo, go for it. You know, you could probably get everything you want. But, you know, most of the buyers I work with have a budget. Another thing to be aware of on Lakefront is because you have the narrow 50-foot lots, garages are not a common feature, at least in Massachusetts, where I am. Maybe in different parts of the US, you see them more often. But here with the smaller lots, it often involves sacrificing a garage. There are definitely some homes that have garages, but they do come with a much heftier price tag. So I want basically for you to just understand all this, absorb all this, figure out for yourself, which is most important. Can you live without a garage? Or do you have to have one? It's gonna seriously limit the inventory of homes available for you to choose from if you are stuck on must having a garage. So again, just something to be aware of. Septic systems. So septic systems on lakefront properties can also be challenging. You see more cesspools from cottages that were built a long time ago. I know the first house that we bought had a tight tank, and it's not ideal. It's not ideal. I was willing to make that sacrifice. I know that living lakefront, there's not a lot of land. There's not land for a gigantic leach field like there would be on a regular lot. So yes, we were willing to pay a little bit more to deal with the tight tank. You know, then we moved to our second home where we lucked out and we ended up getting a bigger lot that has a traditional septic. But I have to tell you, that's not really a common thing that I see when I'm going regularly to lakefront homes in my area. It's usually a funky type of a system that is built to be put into a small space. So if you really are desperate for a traditional septic system, you may be looking at a much higher price tag. So there's more extra costs besides just the price tag of the home itself when you're buying lakefront. Usually the taxes are significantly more. The towns usually charge lakefront owners more money, and insurance can often be a little bit more as well. These are all things you can find out before you sign all the paperwork, but just a couple things to be aware of. We have also associations. Usually the fees are very limited, but you also want to find out, are there any special assessments? Like, I know we have a lake in our town that has had a dam break several times and has had many expensive repairs, and that involved a very hefty tax bill put on that lake, and it was an extra fee. So these are the types of things with lakefront properties that you just want to be aware can be existing, and it may again be more money. Now, I personally feel it's totally worth it, but you need to make that decision for yourself. So the last tip I would just give you would be to be aware that it is going to take longer to find a lakefront home. There's not as much inventory of lakefront homes. They are funky, so you may not fall in love with some of the funkiness, you know, of a lakefront home versus a regular home. And it might have a lot of negatives that you in the long run may say, I like the house, but I don't like the negatives, you know? So it's a time-consuming process, but if you don't rush it and you take your time, it is a dream worth pursuing. I am going to end this video today with a few pictures and videos to inspire you as to why I love living on a lake. And if you need help buying or selling lakefront property, please reach out to me, 508-942-7923. Please enjoy the photos. Have a great day.